And welcome back to the channel, Survivors. Today we're going to be diving deep into ARK Survival Ascended and specifically talking about a community voted creature that is just right around the corner and set to release for Scorched Earth, and that, my friends, is the Fasolasuchus. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe here on the channel, as YouTube tells me for whatever reason like 85% or 90% of you that watch my videos are not subscribed. So please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button directly below this video, and while you're down there, drop a like and potentially drop a comment and let me know what you guys are most excited about here for the Fasolasuchus. Alright, so then diving right in, guys, the Fasolasuchus is one of the community voted creatures that is set to debut here on the Scorched Earth map. We're going to be talking about everything that we know currently about the Fasolasuchus, so you guys have a better understanding of what this creature is, how to potentially tame one when it does officially launch. So starting us off here, let's take a look at the Dossier and see what it has to state about the wild Fasolasuchus. It says, this wasteland's full of surprises and not exactly the good kind. There's something out here that looks a lot like the Fasolasuchus, aka it is, if those proto-crocs could swim through sand like water. It says these beasts might pop up suddenly to ambush you, or they could simply swim around you fast enough to catch you in a sand whirlpool. I cannot stress enough how dangerous this death trap can be, plus their tails are strong enough to whip up sand to blind predators and prey alike. Additionally, it states, if you can help it, I recommend steering clear of the spikes. They have a acid gland at the base of their shiny fins and their mouths as well. Their caustic bite seems to melt through the thickest hide. Alrighty, so very cool, man. I really like the looks here of the Fasolasuchus right off the top from what we've read so far. Let's go over and talk about what exactly we've discovered via the wild portion of the Dossier. Well, number one, or for starters here, we have the spawn point. It sounds like the Fasolasuchus is going to spawn in the desert, barren wasteland portion of the Scorched Earth map. If you did not play Scorched Earth and ARK Survival Evolved, well, then you might have to wait for the Ascended version to officially launch on March 31st in order for you guys to know what I'm talking about. But essentially, it's going to spawn in the barren, sandy areas around the outskirts of the map, and it's probably not going to spawn internally in, the green, grassy areas with all of the other types of creatures, okay? In the barren wasteland, it's going to definitely be probably the death worms for sure. It's going to be the mantis, the scorpions, we have the titan boas. Those are going to be probably like your biggest ones that are going to spawn out there, and then now it looks like we're going to be adding the Fasolasuchus on that list, because they do not mention any other regions besides swimming inside of the sand, and that is going to be on the outside. So that seems like that's going to be where the spawn point is for the Fasolasuchus. So now with that out of the way, let's talk about some of the abilities that we have uncovered here for the wild version of the Fasolasuchus and what you can expect. Well, number one, they're going to be very fast and they're going to be able to swim in the sand underneath. So it sounds like, at least from the Dossier, we're not going to be able to see exactly, where they are located ahead of time. Now, again, we got to do some testing when, Scorched Earth does officially drop here on March 31st, but nevertheless, from the Dossier, it looks like they can pop out suddenly and ambush you, and they're fast enough to swim around you in the sand to create a sand whirlpool. So that sounds pretty terrifying. They're going to be very, very fast swimmers in the sand, and they're going to be underneath the sand just like the death worm. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to this sand whirlpool, they do mention that it can blind predators and prey alike if you happen to get caught in there. I'm assuming that's going to also relate to us, because we will be their prey at that point, and so it might blind your screen. I'm not exactly sure how blinding it's going to be. Maybe it'll be something similar to like the green, goo or acid, whatever you want to call it, from the Dilos, or maybe it's going to be something a little bit, more potent than you can't see anything at all. I'm not sure. We have to obviously wait and test it out, but just keep that in mind. That is going to be one of the main mechanics, when you find one. Now, the second mechanic that they mention here in the Dossier also relates to them being poisonous and having some sort of poisoning effect on you, which again is probably going to make you take damage over time. So your health is going to just naturally, keep on dropping down below the more you get poisoned. Very similar probably to like the rabies and stuff that you'll experience inside of the caves throughout ARK Survival Ascended. And now diving into the more domesticated version of the Fasolasuchus, if you happen to tame one, it states one of these monster sand swimmers would make a great mount, but good luck on slowing down found something that can shrug off most narcotics. You could try softening one up with explosives, grabbing a spike, and then steering it into a rock, but you'd have to be mental to try. Additionally, it says, I imagine the adrenaline junkies able to tame a Fasolasuchus would earn themselves a formidable ride through these scorching sands. They seem to have adapted to fighting larger prey, so I advise any Faso rider to steer clear of packs of smaller creatures that can swarm over its defenses. So now this one's very interesting when it comes to them being domesticated and what they hint to or warn you about inside of the Dossier. So let's talk about the first one and the most obvious one, and that one relates to taming it. They simply state that narcotics aren't going to work, right? Your normal torpor arrows or your darts or, knocking them out with a club is not going to work here, and it doesn't look like you're going to be able to like feed them narcotics of any sort, anything like that, to keep them asleep potentially. It looks like what's going to have to happen instead is, as they mention here, you're going to have to use some sort of explosives. I'm not sure if that means it is explosives only, like, your C4 charges or your rockets, or if potentially things like a cannonball and catapult would also work. But in general here, it looks like you're going to have to soften them up utilizing that method first. Then it says grabbing onto one of the spikes. I'm not exactly sure what it's relating to there. Maybe it is talking about the other side, which are those poisonous spikes that have those acid glands on. So maybe you're going to have to take some sort of, acidic damage while you're holding onto the spike while you're trying to tame it. I don't know. That would be crazy, but it could potentially be the method to taming the creature. And then it says steering it into a rock. So again, we're adding like a third other element here. You're going to probably have to do all three of those steps in a specific order in order for you to knock it out or start the taming process, and potentially have to do this process over and over again if it is a higher level one and it doesn't knock out on the very first attempt. But in general, it sounds really crazy and chaotic, but hey, we love that stuff. And now the second thing that's very interesting when it comes to them being domesticated is they state that the Fasolasuchus has been adapted to attack larger prey, which kind of leads me to believe maybe it can attack smaller prey, things like a pack of compies, right? Or maybe raptors even. I'm not exactly sure how big they would be compared to a raptor, but maybe, raptor being packed up, dire wolves. I mean, you're kind of running three different tiers there with a raptor, dire wolf. You've got compies being the smaller ones. I don't know, but I wonder if it doesn't have the ability to actually attack those smaller creatures, those pack creatures, and essentially they would just chip away at the Fasolasuchus' health unless you got off yourself as the rider and then killed off those dinos or creatures and then jump back on. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out, but just keep that in mind. They do offer that warning at the very end on top of it that does specifically mention, packs of smaller creatures being, able to get around its defenses and, simply harm it. And obviously all of this information comes directly from the Dossier here, and this is currently all that we know about the Fasolasuchus. When it does officially drop in the game, I will be getting this guy tamed as soon as I possibly can, testing it out, going over all of the things you need to know about the Fasolasuchus, and I will be doing a follow-up video covering all that information. As if you guys are a long-term player here for ARK, you will know 100% that the Dossier a lot of times does not cover every single little thing that dino or creature is good for and can be used for. And in that case, I think that is definitely going to be the case here for the Fasolasuchus. We just have to wait simply until it does officially drop for us to test it all out. And that's officially going to wrap up all of the information we know currently about the Fasolasuchus and what you guys need to know ahead of time going into Scorched Earth's official release on March 31st. As always, guys, drop a comment down below, man. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Fasolasuchus. Are you excited about the creature? And if you're not excited about that, well, what excites you the most about Scorched Earth's official release? As always, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything ARK Survival Ascended related. Also, don't forget that I do host my own PvE community ARK servers. Currently, I have one for the island, and I will have one for Scorched Earth as soon as I possibly can get my hands on it, and I will be clustering the two together. If you guys are interested in joining that, you can find all of that information via the Discord, and that link is down below in the description. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one.